There's a moment right before true rest begins, when the world inside your head loosens its grip, and maybe you've felt it before without realizing it. That tiny pause, that quiet exhale, when everything feels just a little less sharp. Maybe you're feeling it now, or maybe it's only beginning to bloom at the edges, but it's there, like a soft light behind a closed door, waiting for you to notice it. If you listen closely, not with your ears, but with that deeper part of you that knows when something peaceful is approaching, you might sense it gently arriving, almost like the way a room slowly cools after sunset, so gradually that you only realize the shift once it's already happened. The noise in your mind doesn't stop all at once. It softens the way footsteps fade down a hallway, each one quieter than the last. And as I tell you this, I'm sitting beside you in this story, not as a storyteller far away, but as someone who remembers what it felt like in your life on nights just like this. Those nights when you tried to quiet your thoughts, only to realize they were still sprinting, still spilling over themselves, still weaving little worries into bigger ones. Do you remember? How your mind would take a small spark and spin it into a whole constellation of what-ifs. It wasn't your fault. Minds do that when they're tired, when they've been carrying too much for too long. But tonight, you're allowed to do it differently. Tonight, there's permission, a soft, unspoken permission, to set things down before they even finish forming. To let the racing thoughts lose their urgency, like fading echoes that don't need to be chased. You might imagine these thoughts not as problems, but as tiny birds fluttering in the branches of your mind. They're restless, yes, but they don't mean harm. And right now, one by one, their wings begin to quiet. They settle. They tuck themselves into stillness. Because even your thoughts know when the night is ready to hold you. There's a tenderness to this first softening, a sweetness that often goes unnoticed. It's the moment when you stop running after every idea, every memory, every unfinished task, and begin simply observing them. The way you'd watch ripples spreading gently across water. No need to analyze them, no need to respond, just watching, quietly, kindly. And as you notice this softening, perhaps you feel a little space opening in your chest, or a warmth in your breathing, or a gentle heaviness along your limbs. These are small invitations, subtle ones, asking you to move a little closer to yourself, to let the world tilt toward calm. Nothing dramatic, nothing forced. Just this. You're beginning to drift toward the edge of your own quiet, and maybe, just maybe, you can allow that softening to deepen, as slowly as a candle flame leaning towards sleep. There's a particular hush that arrives when you're standing at the border, between your waking mind and that slower, gentler world inside you. It's not dramatic. Nothing swings open with a loud creak. It's more like the soft click of a latch you didn't realize was holding you back. A subtle shift, a small permission, a doorway that doesn't need to be seen to be felt. You've stepped through it before, maybe without knowing. On evenings when you found yourself staring at something ordinary, like the way the fabric of your blanket folded, or the way the light, it pooled on your floor, and your thoughts suddenly stopped sprinting. Those moments when everything seemed to move at half speed, as if the whole world had decided to exhale with you. That was the threshold. The place where the frantic rhythm finally gives way to something slower, kinder. Tonight, we're going to walk through it together. Gently. Can you sense it? That slight mellowing at the edges of your awareness. It's like the room around you is becoming softer, the corners rounding out, the shadows turning velvety. You may even notice your breath settling into a quieter pattern, not because you're trying to control it, but because your body has begun recognizing that the night is safe enough to let go. As you linger near this doorway, there's no need to rush. Slow worlds don't invite speed. They open their arms to unhurried presence, to the kind of stillness that feels almost sacred, as if you're returning to something you lost but never really forgot. You don't force your way in. You drift, you ease, you allow. In your life, I remember so many nights when you hovered right here, just outside that slower space, wishing you could step in, but feeling like your thoughts kept pulling you back into the frantic one. Maybe you didn't know it then, but even those nights were part of the passage. Even your restlessness was a kind of map, pointing gently toward this quieter territory. And now, as I speak softly beside you, the doorway widens. The world inside your mind becomes drowsier, like someone turning down the dimmer switch on a lamp. You begin to feel the delicious weight of slowing down, not the heaviness of exhaustion, but a warm, grounding heaviness, the kind that makes your shoulders drop a little, your eyelids soften, your heart loosen its careful grip. If you look inward, you might imagine this doorway as something made just for you. Maybe it's framed in warm wood, or draped with a curtain that moves, or outlined by a faint glow. Whatever you see, it belongs to you. It has always belonged to you. And as you step through, slowly, almost dreamily, you leave behind the quick world for a while. Not forever. Just long enough for your mind to remember what ease feels like. Allow yourself to linger here, in this softer pace, as if time itself has curled up beside you and decided to rest. There's something almost tender about this part of the night. The moment when your thoughts, once scattered in every direction, begin drifting back toward you like small, weightless threads. They don't rush, they don't demand, they simply return, floating, wandering, settling quietly into your hands. You've felt this before, even if you didn't have words for it. That sense that your mind, after a long day of weaving itself into a dozen different worries and half-finished plans, finally starts to unravel in a peaceful way, not falling apart, but loosening, opening, softening, like the way a knot gives way when you stop pulling at it. Tonight we gather these threads together, gently, without judgment. Imagine your thoughts as little strands of light, each one representing a moment that tried to pull you in a different direction today, a conversation you replayed, a decision you're still turning over, a feeling you didn't quite know how to name, a worry that arrived uninvited, a memory that lingered longer than you expected, all of them drifting around you now, slower, quieter, as if the night itself is calming them, and there you are, sitting with me in this soft inner space, noticing how none of these threads are as heavy as they felt earlier. When they were tangled, they seemed overwhelming. But now, separated by the gentle hush of sleep settling in, each strand feels manageable, almost delicate. You don't need to tug on them. You don't need to solve anything. Just hold them with the quiet curiosity of someone who finally has the time to breathe. You've had nights, I remember them, when your thoughts felt like they were racing loops around themselves, when one idea collided with another and worries multiplied faster than you could keep up. But here, in this slower world, the pace changes. Nothing is chasing you anymore. You're simply gathering, collecting, bringing scattered pieces back home. As you touch each thread, notice how your body responds. Maybe your shoulders soften another notch. Maybe your breath deepens in that barely noticeable way that feels like the body whispering, "Yes, this, keep going." Maybe your chest feels a little more open, as if a window has been unlatched from the inside. Some threads you might let rest beside you, others you may gently tuck away. A few might dissolve the very moment you touch them, like mist evaporating in warm light. There's no right way to do this, only the most tender way you can offer yourself tonight. And in this gathering, there's a quiet truth beginning to unfold. Your thoughts were never trying to hurt you. They were simply trying to be heard. Now, in this softer state, they can finally quiet down, because they're no longer scattered. They're no longer tumbling through your mind at frantic speed. They've been collected, held, acknowledged, and you you feel a little more whole. There's a certain moment, subtle, almost shy, when your body begins to speak more clearly than your thoughts. It doesn't use words, it doesn't interrupt, it just whispers. A small tug of warmth here, a gentle heaviness there, a soft loosening in places you didn't even realize were tense. And if you listen closely, you might feel that whisper beginning now. It often starts in the places that work the hardest for you. Your shoulders, for instance, they remember more than you think. Every responsibility, every rushed moment, every unspoken worry. And yet tonight, they begin to settle. Not dramatically, but in that quiet, melting way that feels like sinking deeper into yourself, as if your body is saying, you can rest now, you've done enough. Your breath follows next, shifting without you needing to guide it. It becomes rounder, slower, like a tide that's finally stopped resisting the shore. In soft, out, softer. The kind of breathing that doesn't ask anything of you. It simply arrives, like the night air drifting through an open window, and you can almost feel your whole being, leaning into it as if it's been waiting for this slow rhythm all day. Do you notice it? That gentle pull downward, the sense that your body wants to melt into whatever holds you. That's the invitation. It's not a command. It's not an instruction. It's a quiet, tender invitation to let the physical world cradle you for a while. You've had nights. I remember them vividly. When your mind and body weren't speaking the same language. When your thoughts were spinning fast and your body was exhausted, but stuck in the shadows of leftover tension. But something is different tonight. The mind has softened enough that the body no longer needs to stay on alert. It can finally step forward, offering its quiet signals, its subtle guidance. Maybe your hands feel warmer. Maybe your eyelids feel heavier, like they're wrapped in velvet. Maybe your jaw loosens just enough for your breath to glide more easily. These are all small doorways into rest, gentle reminders that your body knows how to lead you back to equilibrium when you allow it. And there's a sweetness in these sensations, isn't there? A kind of gratitude almost. Your body isn't asking for perfection. It's not demanding stillness. It's simply inviting you to feel deeply, slowly, the safety of being here in this moment, where nothing needs to be solved and nothing needs to be done. You might even place your attention on one tiny point, a spot of warmth, a subtle pulse, the rhythm of your breath. And notice how focusing on something so simple, so physical, creates a spaciousness inside you, a softness that spreads, a heaviness that comforts, a quiet that feels earned. This is the body's way of saying, come home. Come rest here, where you don't have to think, only feel how safe you are. There's a certain softness that comes when you turn inward and find yourself walking through the quieter parts of your own memory, not the loud moments, not the moments heavy with meaning or urgency, but the ones that feel like little hidden gardens. The moments that were never grand, never dramatic, yet left behind a warmth that still glows inside you, faint but steady. Let's walk there now, slowly. Imagine the path unfolding beneath your steps, not a literal path, but something more delicate, woven from half-remembered impressions. Maybe the color of a morning you once woke up feeling unexpectedly calm, or the way sunlight looked on your childhood floor, or a moment when you laughed without thinking, when your body spilled joy without needing a reason. These memories are gentle creatures. They don't rush toward you. They appear softly at the edges, like petals drifting into view. And tonight, in this softened state, they come to you not to be analyzed or relived, but simply to soothe you, as if the mind is offering you only the parts of your past that know how to rest beside you quietly. As you walk through this inner garden, notice how nothing here demands anything from you. There's no urgency, no unfinished business, just small, tender recollections glimmering like dew on leaves. The kind of memories that don't speak in sentences, but in atmospheres. Warmth, gentleness, familiarity. Do you feel how your breath changes here? How your body leans slightly into the comfort of these soft recollections? This is because the nervous system responds to safety, even imagined safety, with a kind of melting, as though it recognizes that it's allowed to unclench. Your mind, which worked so hard all day, begins to move in slower loops, following the gentle rhythm of these memories rather than the frantic spin of worries. I remember so many moments from your past that held this softness, even if you didn't notice it then. A quiet afternoon when the world felt unusually still. A night when you watched the sky darken and felt, for a brief second, completely unhurried. A time when someone's presence made you feel safe without them even trying. These memories, the kind that don't shout, are often the ones that soothe you the most when the night is deep and your mind needs rest. Here, in this garden, every memory feels like a resting place. You don't have to pick any of them up, you don't have to interpret them. You just walk by, noticing the way they brush gently against your awareness, the way they give your mind permission to slow down even further. And maybe, as you wander here, you feel something inside you loosening, something that's been held tightly for too long. Maybe you feel a soft gratitude rising, or a quiet ache, or simply a warmth spreading through your chest. Whatever it is, let it be. There's room for all of it here. Because in this garden of memory, nothing is rushed, nothing is forced, everything is softened by time, and by the simple fact that you're here, breathing slowly, letting the night gather you in. There comes a point in the night when the mind, even if it's been clinging to its storms all day, finally begins to loosen its hold, like fingers slowly uncurling after gripping something too tightly for too long. Maybe you can feel that moment approaching now. The quiet shift, where your thoughts stop pushing forward and start drifting backward as if carried by a soft, invisible current. It's not about force. Storms never disappear because you command them to. They fade when they realize they no longer have an audience. And right now, in this warm, slow space you've created around yourself, your thoughts begin to notice that you're not chasing them anymore. You're not feeding them, fighting them, or clinging to them. You're simply watching from a comfortable distance, almost like watching weather through a window, safe inside, warm inside, untouched. Can you feel that sense of safety spreading through you? That gentle recognition that the storm doesn't need to be solved, only witnessed? It's one of the quiet secrets of the mind. When you stop trying to control every cloud, the sky expands on its own. Imagine your thoughts now as drifting shapes, not heavy, not sharp, not overwhelming, just soft outlines floating through a wide, open sky. Some of them move quickly at first, like they're used to running, but the more space you give them, the more they slow down. Their edges blur, their urgency dissolves. They become like distant clouds, still present, but no longer. I'm pressing against you. You've had nights, I remember them clearly, when your mind felt like a storm trapped inside a glass sphere, swirling too fast to catch your breath. But tonight, something is different. You're not inside the storm. You're lying beneath it in a quiet clearing, watching it drift overhead, separate, gentle, powerless. Your breath plays a role here too. It creates the wind that carries the thoughts farther and farther away. Every slow inhale invites more space. Every long exhale releases another cloud. Not because you force it, but because the body, in its wisdom, knows what to let go of when you offer it calm instead of pressure. You might even imagine the thoughts lifting like tiny lanterns released into the night, floating upward, glowing softly, rising until they blend into the wider darkness. Not lost, but no longer clinging, free to move wherever they need to, without dragging you along. And in this spaciousness, something beautiful happens. You begin to hear the silence beneath the storm, a kind of quiet that isn't empty but full of rest, full of ease, full of the gentle truth that your mind was never meant to carry everything at once. Here, in this widening calm, you feel the storm thinning, the sky clearing, the air softening, thoughts turning into harmless shapes drifting farther and farther toward the horizon. You remain here, grounded, warm, unhurried, watching as the last wisps of the storm fade into the deep, peaceful sky. There's a place inside you, a place you might have forgotten or maybe only visited by accident, where everything is quiet. Not the quiet that feels like emptiness, but the quiet that feels like truth, like something ancient and steady. I like to think of it as a still lake hidden in the very center of you. A lake so calm that even the smallest ripple feels like a whisper. Let's go there now, slowly, gently, without disturbing the surface. You arrive, not by trying, but by softening, by letting the last remnants of the thought storm drift behind you, by allowing your breath to settle into its natural rhythm, by feeling the weight of your body anchor you into this moment. And as you sink into this deeper layer of awareness, the lake begins to reveal itself, not visually, but emotionally, sensorially. You sense the stillness before you see it. The air here feels different, cooler maybe, or thicker with quiet, or simply more patient. And as you step toward the edge, everything in you slows, even the movements of your mind. There's no rush. Stillness doesn't hurry anyone. Do you remember a moment in your life, just one, when you felt an unexpected peace? Maybe it lasted 10 seconds, maybe an hour. A moment when the world felt strangely simple and your thoughts were soft enough that you could hear the faint hum beneath them. That was you touching the lake. You didn't know it then, but that was the center. You're returning to now. When you reach the water, notice how perfectly smooth it is. No ripples, no wind, no disturbance. It reflects you not as you appear, but as you feel in your most unguarded moments. Tranquil, open, belonging to yourself. You might find yourself leaning toward that reflection, not out of curiosity, but out of recognition. As if some quiet part of you whispers, "Oh, there you are." This lake doesn't ask anything of you. It doesn't judge, doesn't measure, doesn't compare. It simply holds you the way a deep silence holds a room. And as you stand beside it, or sit, or float above it, however your mind chooses to be here, you begin to sense that the stillness isn't around you. It's within you. The lake is not a place you travel to. It's a part of you resurfacing. Let your breath meet this stillness. Inhale, and the surface remains undisturbed. Exhale, and the quiet deepens, becoming something you can almost wrap around yourself like a soft blanket. You might even sense your heartbeat slowing, sinking with the calm rhythm of this inner water. Touch the surface if you want, just gently. Notice how even the tiniest movement feels sacred, how the ripples move outwards in slow, concentric waves, then return to perfect stillness again. That's how your mind responds to rest. Brief movements, followed by a deeper, more spacious calm. This is the center you can always return to, not just tonight, but any night, any moment. It doesn't vanish, it only waits. There's a point, gentle, almost invisible, where wakefulness loosens its final threads and sleep begins to rise around you like a quiet tide. It doesn't come all at once. It doesn't sweep you away. It arrives subtly, the way dusk gathers in the corners of a room before you even notice the light has changed. And maybe you're feeling that shift now, that sweet, barely there sensation of slipping from thinking into pure being. This is the soft landing, the moment when your body and mind finally meet in the same calm place. Nothing is chasing you anymore. Nothing is waiting for you. The day has already folded itself away, leaving you with only the softness of now, and the warmth of the night settling onto your skin like a gentle hush. You might notice a kind of drifting feeling, not quite floating, not quite sinking, but something between the two. A sense that each breath is lowering you deeper into the mattress, deeper into the warmth beneath you, deeper into yourself. Your limbs feel heavier, but in the sweetest way, as if gravity has become a caring hand, not a weight. Do you feel how the edges of your awareness are beginning to blur? How everything seems rounder, slower, quieter? This is your mind slipping into the half-dream place where thoughts dissolve before they fully form and sensations melt together like soft colors blending on wet paper. You've had nights, I remember them, when sleep felt far, away, like a door that wouldn't open no matter how gently you pushed. But tonight, the door isn't locked. It isn't even closed. It's wide open, inviting you to drift through without effort. You don't need to try to fall asleep. You're already leaning into it. Your body is already there. Your breath is already there. Your mind is gently catching up. Let yourself imagine sleep as a warm, velvety space unfolding around you. Maybe it feels like a soft blanket being pulled over your whole being. Maybe it feels like a gentle descent into a nest of quiet, or maybe it's simply a deep exhale that doesn't end, flowing into a peace you don't have to hold up or maintain. And as you settle into this softness, let your breath become the lullaby that guides you, like the night pulling you close, out, like everything unnecessary drifting away, in a small welcoming, out, a release. You're not listening to the words anymore. Not really. You're letting them blur into a soft hum, a kind of warm presence beside you, like someone sitting quietly next to you in the dark, keeping watch while you drift off, making sure the night feels safe enough for you to surrender to it. Feel how your body melts a little more, how your mind opens its hands and lets the last thoughts slip through its fingers, how your breath slows into the rhythm of sleep. You're landing now, slowly, gently, into the quietest part of yourself. The place where nothing is demanded of you. The place where every muscle softens. The place where rest isn't an effort, but a natural gravity pulling you inward. Let yourself fall, not downward but inward, into warmth, into calm, into the deep velvety darkness that loves you without asking for anything in return. Good night, drift, and let sleep have you.